Hey, what's going on, guys? We're just going to dissect the day slate real quickly. It's a three-game slate with one of the games being a doubleheader, so we'll try to run through this real quick. NFL starts tonight, guys. Showdown video is out already. If you guys looking to play the Showdown tonight, I'm sure that's where a lot of people's focus is today. That is out. We dropped it yesterday. We dropped Week 1 NFL stuff yesterday. So, I mean, I am just thrilled and pleased as punch for the NFL to start tonight. Coming off a monster night of NBA with another GPP win and one of the most enjoyable games I can remember watching where I didn't frankly care who won. And to get that into the Celtics and Raptors, I'm just in a good sports mood today.
Hell yeah, nice job last night. What a great game. I'm excited about NFL. And even more than the showdown, I didn't even tell you this, but I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to play the showdown like a couple lineups because I have a couple free entries. But really, I'm making a lineup Thursday through Monday because there's players I like every day, and they actually have some good contests. So to get some skin in the game, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, nice idea. What I enjoyed about yesterday's GPP win, besides winning is always fun, is that we literally talked about game stacking on two-game slates for a while on the members-only video. And it was a perfect representation of why game stacking is more in play in a two-game slate. Because if one of those games is close and it goes to OT, or even better, double OT, and the other game is meh, it's a really easy way to end up near the top on things. The other flip side of that, and we'll try to get into more details about this later, is you got to get a little lucky every time you win a GPP, right? Like I had my game stack for Toronto and Boston, and I really wanted Kemba, but I couldn't fit him with a guy I like, so I went to Smart instead. And that was clearly the better play. Like my lineup doesn't even do damage if I don't make that move, and that was luck.
Does it even cash?
It probably barely cashes, right? Like maybe like double your investment as opposed to, 150 times what you put into something is a major difference.
Yeah. So when I saw your lineup, I was thinking about this last night because I actually did not play NBA because I did not love the slate. I was really busy. I'm happy I didn't. I just did not have the time with the slate starting a half hour before baseball. But I was looking at this stuff, and especially after you sent me your lineup, and I was surprised there was no Jason Tatum in there. But then I realized, like, you can't play everyone, like we always talk about.
Yeah, I'd have loved to have had Tatum. I'd have loved to have Walker, but you can't fit in everybody. So Brown and Smart were the better two. Not Tatum was really good, but I think like points per dollar, Smart and Brown ended up being a little bit better because they were both really awesome as well. Walker was just a total bust.
Walker was a bust. Do you have any idea how much Tatum ended with?
No, it was a good score, but you just can't fit everybody because Lowry and Van Vliet were also really good as well. You just can't get everybody.
You had four. So there were five, I thought, guys that were like, because again, I didn't play. So just thinking about the slate when I saw what was happening, I was like, man, you're going to need Lowry, Van Vliet, Brown, Smart, and Tatum. But you couldn't fit all of them. I get that.
Yeah, and then OG was solid, Thies was solid, and Powell was really good, but only because of the overtimes.
The double OT, he was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, we can try to talk about that more later. In the meantime, though, I have spent a good portion of this morning really kind of pouring over the overlay slate for NFL. I'm getting psyched to talk this over with you guys. Go fill up these NFL contests. This is going to be fun. I got about 5 or 6 picks I really, really like for the overlay slate on Sunday. So I can tell you I'm going to be in the progressive jackpots. I'll probably even pony up and go for the $22 one. I'm also going to be in these 5-pick shootouts because I got about 5 picks I really, really like on this. I'm psyched to review this with you guys. Get your money in over at overlaydfs.com. Let's have ourselves some fun on the NFL slates this weekend.
Yeah, let's get it, man. We got so many slates. There's like a ton of millie makers. I know those contests aren't really for you. There's a ton of big contests like every day throughout the industry, which is always nice.
Hell yeah, guys. All right, let's do a real quick summary of what we're looking at for the 3-game contest today. First thing of note, really no weather concerns. The other one is that the Detroit versus St. Louis game is the first part of a doubleheader. So I already wasn't really looking at offense in those games, but just the lesser at bats, I'm sure most of you guys that play this stuff on a daily basis know it's just less desirable from an offensive perspective.
It's definitely less desirable. It doesn't mean the upside's not real, like we saw with the Angels in Houston last game, like one day last week, where finished like a 10-9 game in 7 innings. However, I agree with you. I like both pitchers in this game. They might be my 2 favorite pitchers on the slate, to be quite honest. Price per dollar.
Okay, I don't like Scooball probably as much as you do, just because St. Louis is not like they're not a great offense, but they're feisty. I also don't need the cap relief on this one necessarily, so you'll probably be more likely to use him than I do. What's your opinions on Flaherty then? Because he has not been himself, and he's been on a real tight pitch limit. since the whole COVID deal, and he hasn't looked like the Flaherty that we know and love religiously.
I like Flaherty today. I'm willing to take a shot here. 7-inning game. We saw that he had kind of worked up his pitch count a little bit in that Cleveland game and just wasn't good in that Chicago game. So I could easily see him having a good game here.
And we also like elite starters coming off of bounce-back performances. And you know I'm a big Flaherty guy, and I hate the Cardinals. So for me to like a guy as much as I like Flaherty should tell you guys something. So talking me into him at home against Detroit, it's not a difficult thing to do. That's like talking me into going to Chipotle. It is one of the easiest things you can do.
So I know you, and I know that you like and you're going to use Dylan Bundy here, correct?
Yeah. It depends on how many lineups I play. I'm sure I can get up there. I'm not a big Bundy believer, and I kind of like Sean Manaea against Houston a little bit. But I do think that I can probably make Flaherty and Bundy work in this situation, so I'll probably just end up using those guys. And I'll probably play a cash game today because I don't like the GPP kind of alternate mix.
I definitely get that. And I think that's the optimal line. Texas, has not been awful the past couple games. That's all I'll say. And Bundy has not been amazing recently. So I'm not running there, but I do agree that that's the optimal line. I was also looking at Manaea. And all those guys are playing because I like Skubal because I like his price point and he's looked good to me. But I also am looking at Manaea for sure. Also looking at a couple of Houston righties.
Yeah, so Manaea had a terrible start to the season. Started to look better against San Francisco on the 15th and has been very good since then up against San Diego, Texas, and Arizona. Obviously, San Diego's good. They're so good that I didn't even play him in my year-long league that day, and obviously I'm regretting that one because he was excellent. Texas and Arizona are clearly not very good baseball teams, but he's looked a lot more competent. Houston's also been struggling for a while now.
They have. They've just had a bad year, man.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like if you don't know what's coming, maybe you're not as good.
You know.
Although I did laugh yesterday because we were like, yeah, it was Springer was so cheap.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. And then he homers in the first at bat.
I was literally going to say when you mentioned that Springer's always in play when he's this price point because he's a guy that can hit 2 homers any given day.
Yeah. Okay. Offensively, is there a certain team you like? Because I feel like it's too obvious, but I like the more expensive players on the Angels, and I think Rendon is my favorite overall play of the day. 3 walks the last 2 days, and he's faced Gibson 5 times and has had a hit or a walk in every single appearance. He's also really good and very inexpensive.
So it's hard not to like Trout, Ohtani, Rendon. I'm with you there. They're just solid.
And Simmons leading off probably.
Sure. I'll say I like Oakland though a lot.
So that was one of the first teams I was looking at today. You think today's a day they've been really kind of not great offensively. You think they bust out today?
I do.
Okay.
Kind of have a similar feeling. Again, I've thought this about Atlanta for the past few days. I obviously did not use them last night, or you would have heard from me already.
Yeah, I would have.
So, and I don't predict anything like that, but I think Oakland's due for a good game. I think this is a good slate to go there because you don't have to beat out tons of different teams, right? Like the teams that you just mentioned, the Angels, they're not good. So yeah, they're in a good spot here, but beating up the Angels is never something I'm scared of.
No, definitely not. Because I'm assuming the Angels get plenty of love today. Specifically, Trout is really the best player on the slate by a good margin. We'll get some love today. I'm sure most people avoid the offenses in Detroit and St. Louis, which leaves you with these other teams right here. And I was looking at Oakland this morning. I have an affinity for stacking Oakland in the day at home. Had a lot of luck with that for some reason. Just chalk it up to probably nothing more than luck, but it was the first thing that I looked at.
Don't you think? Because speaking of Trout, on a slate like this, where it's a small amount of games, they are the best offense probably spot considered, and it's easy to get to Trout more or less because there's other cheap pieces. He's going to be real popular. These are the slates where he's 75, 80, 85%.
Yeah, so you always get stuck in this conundrum then where he's going to be big-time chalk, and as the game's best player, I mean, against a weak pitcher like Kyle Gibson, he's got a really good opportunity to go off. The idea of fading him to try to get a better outfielder in GPP is always on board with it. The problem is if Trout's Trout at massive ownership and has a nice day, then you're pretty much just, giving your money away.
I mean, this slate has happened. Like, this exact slate has happened a ton of times, and there have been a bunch of times where I've faded Trout and he's gotten 5 points, and it's like awesome. That doesn't necessarily mean you win, though. And there's definitely been times where I faded Trout, and I can think of a time where he was in Toronto, like last year or the year before, and I mean, had like 40 DK points, and you were done without him.
Yeah, because he's going to be big ownership.
Big ownership.
So I'm with you on that one. That's kind of the ultimate conundrum on a slate like this. And let's face it, Mike Trout has got a chance to succeed higher than pretty much almost every other baseball player on every single day because he's the best baseball player in the world. He's got a very solid matchup with Kyle Gibson, who is mediocre and not pitching well this year. So it's a tough fade, but the power of fading him if he has an average day and you can get your outfielders right is huge. It also really gives the rest of your guys a big upswing because he's the only truly expensive player on the slate. Like, you're not going to roster Edman at 5K, are you?
So, no, but I do think, and I mentioned Scooble, like, I think St. Louis is like also like interesting, if nothing else. I'll say that because
because they're going to be low owned, right?
That's okay. So they're going to be low. I don't really want to. Scooble's decent. He's young and he can get hit, so I'm not like too scared to pick on him, even though I think he's in play. Only 7 innings at home is definitely a worry. They're going to be very low owned though, and they don't like kind of the same thing I was saying about the A's. Like, they only have to beat out, like, assuming they beat out Detroit, right? Because I think they'll beat out Detroit against Flaherty. They only have to beat out 4 other teams. So it's not the most likely scenario. I'm just putting it out there. What's your thought?
I thought about it. My thoughts were that while I completely understand the strategy of it, I don't like it enough to do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's when the strategy makes sense, but there's a lot of times where the strategy makes sense. And if you keep doing that, you're going to lose your money long term. It's not a bet I like enough to make. It doesn't mean that I don't understand why it's in play.
Yeah, ultimately, that's probably why I don't love this slate.
Chalk pitchers, you think Bundy, Flaherty?
Yes, I do.
So that's for me. Like, if you want to be different in GPPs, I'm a Sean Manaea fan. I don't think he's a great pitcher, but I think he's good. He's pitched a lot better. And I don't think people will want to use him against Houston. And Houston can go off any day, but they've really been struggling the last 2 weeks. And I know Bregman's back, but it's not like he's up to a, full running 100% Bregman that we know and love. And he's also not having a great year to begin with. I mean, this guy has 2 hits since the 18th of, August, because he hasn't been playing. So it's not full force Bregman.
Nope, not at all. I also think like using a couple of Texas bats is in play, specifically Gallo and Tavares.
Yeah, I was going to say you liked Tavares a lot yesterday. He's dirt cheap again today. And this is a kind of slate where you can use Tavares and use Bundy if you want.
Sure. He stole home also.
I love stealing home. It was one of my favorite moves growing up playing like Babe Ruth in high school baseball. But yeah, he's playing really well right now. Switch hitter. He runs. I think you can run a little bit on Bundy if my memory serves me correctly.
Same. That's exactly what I was thinking as well.
So, like, I don't mind playing Tavares on Bundy. You don't play Bundy thinking he's going to throw a shutout. I know he's pitched well this year, but, using one Texas guy or 2 Texas guys against him is not out of the question.
I'm with you. I also like Gallo.
Yeah, Gallo is always a double dong waiting to happen.
Yeah, and he's also a guy on these slates that, like, because his upside's always massive.
All right. So, to make this one kind of shorter and concise, because we can kind of talk forever, even on a 3-game slate, I think, like you said, Flaherty, Bundy, probably the chalk build.
I think so.
Okay. If you want to switch it up, I think we both fully don't have any desire to use Kyle Gibson, so we kind of just cross him off.
Yeah, I'm not using Gibson here. I like the guys that I'd use are Scooble and Manaea.
Okay. I can subtly get on board with Urquidy too.
Damn.
And I know you're not going to use him because you like Oakland a little bit.
I don't think of Oakland. You're definitely scaring me off though.
They just haven't played well lately. It doesn't mean they won't play well today, right? Like, no Chapman in the lineup, so you take out one of their better hitters. The rest of the guys on their team are just not having great seasons outside of Olsen, who's been, Matt Olson, even he's not having a great year batting 190.
No, I mean, they're not having a great year at all.
Chris Davis is terrible. Robbie
Grossman's been their best fantasy player this year, like fantasy points per game, I think.
I know we were all excited about Laureano coming into the year, but OPS well under anything. Simeon's batting just over 200, if I remember correctly, 216. I mean, they have not. The fact that they're winning games is, credit to them. But offensively, they've been a little bit of a letdown.
How are they winning games? Like, I'll say the one guy that I was looking at is also shortstop eligible is Machine. I think that's how you pronounce it. Machine. He's very cheap. And he's walked a ton recently.
Okay. I mean, he's cheap. I can get on board with that. The only thing with Urquidy is I don't think he gets a lot of love, and he is a pretty good strikeout pitcher, right? I mean, a little over a K per inning in the minors.
It's amazing what winning a GPP will do to your mind. I love the way you're thinking right now.
Well, I don't love this slate, so trying to be a little different with it. And I'm not as sold on Flaherty as I normally am. Again, I'll throw Flaherty in there because I'm a huge fan today. I've just not been overly impressed with the Jack Flaherty I normally love full and through. But I'll take last start as just a bad one and know that I like elite pitch, against good team or bad teams like this. And I'm sure I'll just roll with him today.
Who do you like more, Flaherty or Bundy?
Flaherty probably, now the more we're thinking about it. I was turned off by him last start and the lack of pitches, but I'm going to go back and lean on what this was. He threw 83 pitches against Cleveland, and he got pulled early last time because he had a bad start. I like good pitchers off bad starts.
Of course, and I still think Flaherty, I mean, one of these games, I think he's going to have a really good game. Yeah, I mean, I like Flaherty here, but there's definitely a little cause for pause. Definitely cause for pause for Bundy, too.
Yeah, it's Dylan Bundy. How is there not always cause for pause?
Yeah, exactly.
And he was great those first couple starts, but I mean, he hasn't done anything since then where you're like, oh, this guy's really, really good. He had 8 Ks last time with a struggling Houston. Congratulations. But, I'll chalk up those first couple starts to a bit more of an anomaly. We've definitely seen this guy with some ups and downs, and he has not been incredible. He's expensive, too. So if you want to go Manaea, Flaherty, I can completely get on board with that. Now you have some extra money, too.
Yeah. That last start against Houston, too, was the ultimate, worst woe Houston lineup ever. No Alvarez, no Bregman, no Altuve. I don't even know if Brantley was in there. Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of like the Manaea Flaherty call.
Right, Correa's one of their better hitters right now. I mean, he's not been again, OPS under 800. A lot of these guys, I mean, they're just not that scary right now. There's no Alvarez. There's no Altuve. Bregman's barely played in a month and, hasn't done anything special this year. They're just not as scary as they normally are.
Mm-mm.
I mean, their best hitter is arguably Yuli Gurriel. He's also not playing great, although I'll give him credit for the home run last night, obviously. But I'm not that scared of Houston right now.
They only scored 2 runs last night.
Yeah, and they've been struggling for a while. I mean, they had lost, 7 games in a row or something like that up until recently?
Really?
I mean, they're 1-7 in their past 8.
Where are they in the standings? I'm sure they're still a lock for the playoffs.
They're second in the standings. They're 500.
Interesting.
I mean, Seattle's 2.5 games behind them.
Yeah, wow. I would not have thought that the Phillies had a better record than the Astros.
The Marlins have the same record as the Astros as far as winning percentage.
Yeah, that's a wow. I will give them a little credit. Verlander's been out all year, so.
Yeah, they lost Cole. Verlander's been out. The guys are getting hurt left and right, but
Colors sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you know what? I definitely like the top guys on the Angels. The bottom of their lineup gets really, really weak, and I'll probably roll. I don't know. In cash games, probably Flaherty, Bundy, but I have no problem pivoting to Manaea, and I might even just grab my balls and do it in cash games as well.
Yeah, kind of like the Manaea call a lot. Kind of talked myself into Manaea over Schoolboy and Bundy, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, in a real life pitching perspective, Manaea and Bundy, it's an argument who the better pitcher is, right?
I think that's a good one. I said Manaea is better than Bundy, but not sure I can say that anymore. Who is the better pitcher between Manaea and Bundy? Who would have more trade value? that's so dependent on like how things are going like at that specific time. Sometimes it's Manaea easily, sometimes it's Bundy easily.
All right. Knock on Manaea. I mean, his pitch count is not high. I mean, I don't think he's tossed more than 86 all year. Yeah, he hasn't. They really seem to limit him to 5 innings. Now, he gets through 5 easily because he doesn't walk guys, but he's not a guy who's going to go 110 pitches.
I just think Bundy gets hit here. So, like, even in those 5 pitches, I think that Manaea outscores him.
All right. And fading a chalky Bundy is not the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, all right, you've definitely taught me into Flaherty. You taught me some common sense into me on this one. He's the best pitcher on the slate by a big margin going against Detroit. Yes. Why would I not play him?
Right, and if Detroit hasn't been awful, they can hit him a little bit, but I'll go down with Flaherty on this type of slate all day.
Right, like look at who else is out there. I mean, Flaherty is the best pitcher by a big margin.
Flaherty is, yeah, I mean, by a huge margin, yes.
All right, okay. Flaherty Bundy or Flaherty Manaea. Get those top Angels guys, maybe a little Texas love. And then again, I don't have much interest in any Houston bats.
Oh, one thing I wanted to say, though, because I know Texas got a love last night because they were really cheap. And again, we've said it a couple of times on this slate. And I don't want to sell my soul for the Rangers on this slate, but kind of like the point we made, I've made it a couple of times now, like they only have to beat 4 or 5 other teams on this slate as opposed to last night where I get it, they were really cheap, but they still had to like beat a ton of other teams. It's a point that you make a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And like you don't even really have to worry about beating Detroit because nobody's going to use them, and they're not very good, and they're only playing 7 innings. Yeah, I gotcha. All right, that was a quick wrap up of what we're looking at today, guys. Go get your money in at Overlay. Memberships are all available through the website. The NFL package will be on sale up until tomorrow. Monthly customers, you get all the sports that are active. We will try to do an NBA showdown video later today. I'm not 100% sure if we'll get to it. Trying to teach kids school during the middle of the day like this. I know a lot of you parents are also dealing with that.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough job. I don't envy you. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I know I'm not alone here. I know a lot of you guys are out there doing the same thing. It just kind of sucks.
Thanks, guys.